Picture this, you're cruising down the highway, hands off the wheel, letting your brand new car handle everything. The commute is actually, well, relaxing. But then in the next 3 seconds, the software makes a fatal mistake. Your car, the one you're not even technically driving, causes a catastrophic accident. You weren't at the wheel, but you could be the one facing the lawsuits, financial ruin, or even criminal charges. This isn't science fiction. This is a legal time bomb that millions of new car owners are sitting on. So who's really to blame when your self-driving car crashes? First, let's clear up the biggest misconception out there. Despite what company's marketing department might tell you, you cannot purchase a fully self-driving car today. What we have are vehicles equipped with advanced driver assistance systems, or ADAS. Think Tesla's Autopilot, GM's SuperCruise, or Ford's BlueCruise. And they are definitely not all created equal. The Society of Automotive Engineers gave us a scale level 1 to 5 to rank how automated a car is. Level 0 is basically no automation. You know, the old Mustang I had in high school back in the 80s. And level 5 is a car that can do everything a human can, everywhere, under any condition. Now, most new cars with these assistant features are only at a level 2. They can help with the steering, accelerating, braking, but you, the driver, have to stay completely engaged. Hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, ready to take over in a split second. Calling it autopilot is seriously and dangerously misleading, because at this level, you are the pilot. You are the captain and you are legally responsible. You know, now we're getting the interesting stuff. Level 3 and level 4. A few level 3 systems like Mercedes-Benz Drive Pilot are available in some areas. At this level, the car can handle most driving tasks under specific conditions. In a traffic jam, it's going to tell you when it's time to take back control. Level 4 is true self-driving, but only in a limited geo-fenced area, like the Waymo robotaxi in downtown Phoenix. In these vehicles, the idea of driver starts to disappear. However, that's also very, very flawed. The Waymo doesn't really drive well. It kind of moves around a little bit. But this is where the nightmare begins, because when there is no driver, who takes the blame? Think the robotaxi coming up. Not the ones with the steering wheels and the pedals and a safety driver, but the ones they're planning on putting out with no steering wheel, no pedals, and no driver at all. In the United States, there isn't a single federal law that covers liability for autonomous vehicle accidents. Right now, we have this messy and dangerous patchwork of state laws. And this creates a legal lottery where the consequences of a crash really depend entirely upon where it happens. I mean, look at the most common situation. A crash in a level 2 or 3, level 3 car. In most states, traditional negligence laws still apply. That means the law is looking for a human who did not act with reasonable care. Were you paying attention? Were you ready to jump in when the system got confused by sun glare or weird lane markings? Or in Missouri, no lane markings at all. If you were checking a text even for a second, then you are likely on the hook. Legally, the self-driving system is just seen as fancy cruise control, and you, the human, are ultimately the fail-safe. This creates a terrifying gray area. The car is designed to do most of the work, lulling you into a false sense of security. But the law still demands your absolute undivided attention. It is a psychological trap with potentially devastating legal consequences. But what happens when the tech truly fails? What if the crash wasn't because you were distracted, but because of a flaw in the code or a bad sensor? This is when things get really, really complicated with product liability laws. California is on the forefront of this battle. As a hub for testing, the state has been forced to confront these questions head on. New regulations are starting to point the finger at manufacturers, requiring them to carry massive insurance policies and report every accident. Now, and while the recent laws make it possible to hold companies responsible for traffic tickets issued to their robotaxis, proving a manufacturer's liability for a civil accident is a completely new story. Proving a software defect is incredibly difficult and expensive. It means hiring teams of experts to dig through millions of lines of code. And you can bet the car companies are going to fight back hard, probably arguing that the human driver is the one who failed to properly supervise the system. This leads to brutal, drawn-out legal fights that leave victims and their families in limbo. Step outside the United States and the legal map gets even crazier. Different countries are writing completely different rule books for the future of driving. Take the United Kingdom. The UK in 2024 passed their landmark Automated Vehicles Act. Now this law created a revolutionary shift. When an authorized self-driving feature is on, the human driver gets immunity from prosecution for most traffic offenses. The responsibility moves squarely to the corporation, the manufacturer or the software developer. If the car speeds or causes a crash, the company is held accountable. The idea is to build public trust by removing the legal fear for the person in the driver's seat. Now contrast that with Germany. Germany was also a pioneer creating laws for automated vehicles. But Germany chose a very different path. Under German law, the owner of the car keeps something called strict liability. This means their insurance is the first to pay in an accident, no matter who was at fault. You can then try and sue the manufacturer if you can prove a technical defect, but the initial burden is all on you. Now, so if you think about this, it is the exact same car with the exact same software. It could crash in London, Berlin, and LA, but in each city, a different person or company could be held responsible. One crash, 3 different outcomes. And this is a definition of legal chaos. Now that's international law, but we have the same issue coming up with state laws. A vehicle could crash in LA, a vehicle could crash in Kansas City, or in New York. And the laws will all allow for different outcomes. Now, with the blame scattered between the driver, the manufacturer, and the owner, how does anyone prove what really happened? Well, the answer is inside a small little silent witness, the event data recorder, or the car's black box. Just like an airplane, this device records critical data in the seconds before, during, and after a crash. It knows your speed, it knows your steering, it knows your braking. But in an autonomous car, it also knows the status of the self-driving system. Was it engaged? Did it see an obstacle? Did it alert the driver to take over? There was a case involving a driver that had sued. He was in an accident in a Tesla, and he claimed that the Tesla system was in control. Now, he won his case, and I don't have the citation to hand, I'm sorry, this is from memory. But my understanding is he won his case because while he had the self-driving on, the self-driving disengaged like a second and a half before the accident. So, did the self-driving see the obstacle, and did it alert the driver to take over? Did it alert the driver in enough time for the driver to be able to take over? This data is the single most important piece of evidence in any driverless car crash. It's what the lawyers are going to use to argue about whether the accident was caused by a distracted human or by a defective machine. Access to this data is the key to the entire case. Manufacturers know this, and there are huge legal battles being fought right now over who gets to see that data and what it really means. The black box doesn't lie, and in the confusing world of autonomous liability, it may be the only source of truth. Look, the promise of self-driving cars is incredible. I have a Tesla. I had a Tesla previously as well. I used the full self-driving. I absolutely loved it. There were times when I was really, really tired and I dozed down the road. The full self-driving kept me from having an accident, and it made me pull over and take a nap. Well, it didn't make me pull over and take a nap, but it made it so I could. And that was a really valuable thing. I didn't realize I was that tired until I had the afternoon sun coming in the window and the drone of just driving along a straight highway. So the promise of these cars is absolutely incredible. But there's a risk. So this future with safer roads where the vast majority of accidents caused by human error could absolutely disappear. But right now, we're still stuck In a dangerous and confusing transition, the technology is sprinting ahead, while the law is, frankly, still learning to crawl. We're going to be behind. The systems marked as full self-driving still demand constant human supervision. It's a psychological contradiction that sets some people up to fail. Liability laws change dramatically depending upon where you are, and your financial future after a crash could come down to simply geographic luck. So until we get a clear, consistent, and global legal framework, your new car is potentially a legal time bomb. You are the test subject in a massive real-world experiment, not just of technology, but of law. And when that bomb goes off, the question of who is at fault is far from settled. You might just be along for the ride, but you could be the one that pays the price. Now, laws around this technology are changing every single year. To stay on top of the legal and tech frontiers, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching.